Shalom, everybody. This is Unplug 'em. I wanted to do something a little bit differently. This time, I just wanted to kind of talk, just rap with y'all a little bit. Can I do that? Just a little taste. Just rap with everybody, all the viewers. It's Ohio, so it's still a little nippy. But, you know, I wanted to talk about Ephesians 2:2 a little bit with y'all. So let's go to Ephesians 2:2. Wherein in time past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. There is a power of the air, and at one time this was one of those passages of the Bible that was very mystical and had a lot of mystique to it, because what did they mean by the prince of the power of the air when there were no airwaves as we know it? Now with the advent of Wi-Fi, the internet, cell phones, where few people have a landline, or fewer and fewer people have a landline these days. Now with the advent of these things, chapter 2 verse 2 of Ephesians has made more sense. As technology moved forward, as time moved forward, everything must evolve. And there is a time and a season to everything, as we learn in the book of Ecclesiastes. Now, for all intents and purposes, I follow the way, which is spelled out, and the guidelines can be found between the covers of what people call the Bible, the collection of scriptures that is known as the Bible. I believe is the best mixtape of scriptures that one could have. I've had a Bhagavad Gita. I read the Egyptian Book of the Dead. I've read the Quran. I find all of these books to have beneficial information in them, but I find a prophetic and supernatural power that I cannot find as readily and as consistently in the other books that I find in the Bible, in the Holy Bible, whether you use KJV or NIV, or if you have a Geneva. All of that's good. Like folks say in the streets about a gun, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So it's good for you. In this Luciferian realm, we live in a Luciferian society. If you're of that overstanding, then you should have a Bible. Don't be scared of it. Don't let people taint you against it. Don't let anyone tell you that there's nothing you can get from out of any book that's 66 chapters and filled with words from men that are undisputedly prophets. Everything in the Bible is not in dispute. People that dispute it won't mention that. There are some things that can be proven by academia. But then do we look to academia? Do we trust science and medicine to tell us the truth about spiritual things, knowing their origin? Being steeped in the fallen angel and the technology that they first brought down to mankind, the first mankind being the original mankind, the first kings of the earth as exhibited in Psalms 2:2, being the kings of the earth that you found in the areas we know as the Middle East and Egypt. These were areas where black people were the kings and the queens, and that's nothing to have a point of pride about. Pride cometh before the fall. It's knowing the truth and dealing with the truth, and not feeling some type of way about everything. We've become too emotionalized. Because once we know that truth, because truth has been hidden from some of us for so long, we begin to take that and run with it, and the white man is the devil, and blah, blah, blah. I started off in the Nation of Islam, Mosque number 1, Finkel Avenue, Detroit, Michigan. And I'm a proud Detroiter. I'm a B1 for all ways. And it's deep in all of my ways. But again, pride. Pride is something that can hinder us. Now, should I be so proud as to never make a move? Should the Most High open that doorway and say, well, son, I want you here, or I want you there? So we have to put pride in its proper place. You're proud of your son. You may be proud of some achievement. But we have to watch out for pride, because like eating can become gluttony when it's extreme. So pride, when it's extreme, can turn to vanity, and vanity caused the fall of the one, Lucifer, your main man, 50 grand again and again and again. So what I wanted to do on this part with the occult ghetto, MK Ultra in the hood, was I wanted to deal with a few things that you know, I want to kind of not be bound by the paper to deal with, because these things are coming from my heart. And you know, when I share those papers with you guys, those papers are for me. That's how the Most High speaks to me. I'm a little slowish, so I have to write things down sometime and see them, and then the picture becomes clear to me. And so I thought, well, maybe if I think that way, or if I learn that way, there may be others who do also. And that's my purpose for sharing the pages. And I will go back to that, because I didn't get any negative feedback concerning them. You know, I know sometimes my handwriting is better than others, but I try to make it neat now that I know that as the Most High has given it to me, I may be called upon to share it with you guys. But we want to really focus on the real reason for the season. What's the real deal, Holyfield? What is this all about? Why is Unplug 'em out here putting out these videos? You see, I come from the consciousness community. I come from the quote-unquote truther movement noir. You know, the black version. I studied and taught Nwapu for years. I had my own organization in my basement. I, me, my anointing, blah, blah, blah. All of that's nothing and of no effect. But for some, there's still some need to hear a person's resume or pedigree to realize they're a big dog. But I'm only what my Father made me. And if I'm anything, all glory goes to Him. But I believe I am nothing and no one. And I've come to die to my flesh, and to die, period, in the physical. Nobody comes here to stay. I've come to the peace of overstanding that. And nobody could never take that away from me. And I'm so very thankful to Abba for that. Now, I study with the Israelite community. My main man, 50 grand, Brother Quab. Just in case you're watching, you know, I just wanted to reiterate my love for you, brother, for bringing me out of the darkness that I was once in, being trapped in the bondage of the Egyptomaniac mind state. And that's when you see all the good and none of the bad of a thing. You can be a Hulkamaniac, you think Hulk Hogan is all good, or you can be a maniac for your team, or a fan addict, for your team. And I didn't want to be any of those. And so because of the love of the Father, and we know we serve a being that's neither bound to genitalia or sex or race or religion as we are, but just for conversation purposes, conversation rule the nation, communication rule the nation, and sometimes you just have to be able to speak in a flow in order to get understood. And what's understood don't need to be explained, but you know, just for explanation's sake, you know, I like to let it be known where my background is. Now, like you know, a lot of brothers, they start off in the church. I didn't start off in the church. My upbringing was very open, wide open, really, concerning religion. And when I got into my father's books, he was an occultist and an avid student of demonology and Crowley, and did a conjuring. And one day we'll talk about that. And I you know, sometimes I believe that part of my karmic debt, to use the term borrowed from Hindu, which all things come from the source in reality, even if the fallen angels thought they brought them down here. But, you know, my debt to pay back is because of my father, sometimes I believe, and his father before him, who taught him this way. And my people come from Trinidad. So there's a Levitishness, a affinity for the occult and the supernatural that I grew up with, as opposed to going to church like a lot of kids did. And then, although my family is steeped in the gospel thing, that wasn't the music that I heard at home. I was a child of a very talented secular musician, but nonetheless still had that same gift and I believe anointing. And so I wish to walk in those things now to correct what was done by the enemy to my family. And I want you to do the same. And that's what this public service announcement is really all about. Getting down to the bare bones of what we're all about. We're all about deliverance from demons, deliverance from the demonic realm, deliverance from the grips of Lucifer by way of mind control, which is why we're doing the series we're doing now. It is a way to bait in those who are attracted by the same things I was attracted to. Some people can be prayed for and told, oh, catch the Holy Ghost and say, and they catch it and, oh, they're saved. I wasn't so fortunate because, you know, I don't say that to clown or fool on them at all. I'm envious that I had to be such a hard head. But he created us all for our part in this army, for our part in this war. And I take my part very seriously, and I want you to take yours very seriously too, because the fact that we've met right now, that we're meeting, right now that you're watching this, that fact is evidence that there is a Most High. I would not be sitting here if there was not a Most High, and if the word Jesus, even in its Greek form, if that word did not have power, I would not be sitting here before you, because that is truly the bottom line of my testimony. That what you are taught concerning the Y and the J and the I and the letters and all that stuff is null and void when we're talking about a spiritual reality. Now, my name on my birth certificate is not Unplug 'em. But if you call me Unplug 'em, if you say Jackknife, I know who you're talking about. I turn around. Well, you don't think that the Father in heaven and the manifestation of himself in this physical reality, Yahshua HaMashiach, the Messiah, that manifestation, if you don't think that that manifestation, the true and living everlasting spirit of that manifestation can't answer grandma when she say Jesus, you a new fool. So we need to get out some of the things that's been brought in. And a lot of things have been brought in by the fallen angels and by the secret societies that they run. The secret societies are the peons of the fallen angels. The fallen angels really call the shots. They're the bosses. And they have peons in every segment of society. There are peons at the top levels of the gang culture. Yes, there are. There are peons at the top levels of banking and commerce, at the top levels of industry, at the top levels of the ministry. So your minister or your mom's minister, your grandma's minister might not say none of these things because they cannot. It's only one of two reasons. They don't know or they can't tell. So either one is not sufficient for these days and times. We live in the days and times that Yahshua, the master teacher, Yahweh Shah, said that the last day shall be as it was in the days of Noah. And see, we think of that, and the Noah movie is going to help us think of it in the wrong manner, like everything was primitive. Technology has always been around. The fallen angels brought man technology and machinery and instruments, both instruments of war and instruments of music war, making the sick muse. And so these days and times, new things are required. All throughout Psalms, the Creator admonishes us to sing a new song. Gospel sound the same, and your rap sound the same. Your rap is whack. Your rap is whack, and the gospel is whack too. And the Creator ain't happy about neither one, because He brought down the power of music for our use to praise Him and His creation, to uplift His creation. And there's so much destruction in the rap, and so much monotony in the gospel, not just in the singing of it and the musical aspect of it, the gospel music, but in the preaching of it as well. And there is a generation at hand that people can criticize and talk all kind of mess about if they want, but they're not going nowhere, and they will not receive the way things have been done. You know, some reform has to be done. And when I think of Yahshua, the example I find in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, which is where you should get the basis of your biblical belief from, of your so-called Christianity from. I don't like to use that term because it is not all pure. I have nothing to do with Krishna. But, you know, again, you know, we don't get caught up in things. I don't fear it either. I understand certain concepts in it, like the concept of Kali and the concept of karma and dharma. And these are all concepts you can find in the Bible. You reap what you sow. Duh. So sometimes it's the way things have been explained to us by ministers who have an agenda, a secret Luciferian agenda, or who have a lack of knowledge. And my people shall perish for lack of knowledge. And it's cash scriptures that say that. And that's what I've been charged with. And I can only do what I was charged with. Hosea 4 and 6 is the source of my people perish. Well, that's the most quoted one. Then you have it also in Isaiah 5 and 13, Proverbs 5, 23, 10 and 21, and Job 36 and 12, examples of people perishing for lack of knowledge, for not knowing. Some folks say ignorance of the law is no excuse. And so, true, it's no excuse that you don't know. The devil knows. And he puts the information out here for us. We're in the information age, where we are to get information. Like a military troop get information. And it's time now that this body get information. And that reform happens. Reform, to form again. And Yahshua was a reformer. Jesus was a reformer. And I can use that word. I understand. Jesus, and it was Zeus, and Jesus means Zeus is the pig. Look on your hog head cheese. It says Zeus. Doesn't matter. I tried it, and see. Well, let me say it does matter, because you're telling a lie, and you're repeating a lie somebody told you. In practical application, actual practice in the real life situation of being confronted with a demonic entity, being confronted with a demonic entity, an extra dimensional being who is malevolent and growling at you. I said that name because I was reading something, not because I had belief in it myself. And the saying of that name caused this thing to go. And it was a process to all of that, but it was the saying of the name that disrupted this being's energy. And you've heard people say that about the name Jesus stopping UFO abductions and different things like that. How it happens or why it happens, I don't care. You know, do you care about how the bullet come out the gun? When you need it, you're glad that it works. And that's how I felt about that. So again, this is just a little addendum. We will definitely get back to the papers, because I'm going to follow the papers, you guys, but it's just a few things I wanted to address that people had asked me, and I wanted to deal with them specifically. And I don't know how much of it got dealt with on the last video I did, because my phone died in the midst of recording. So just in case, I want to reiterate. Check out Pastor Anita, OYEP, Open Your Eyes, people. Check out Dabu 7. Check out the Fuel Project. Excellent. Know Your Enemy is their series, and it's a great tool to show and prove to you that your enemy is not some red man in a red suit with a tail that's, hiding and ducking and diving way down deep in the earth. Our enemy is all around us, and his markings are all around us. In fact, we live in his world and in his land. And as the prince of the power of the air, you should understand it. When you're watching things or when you're hitting on certain things, the alphabet boys don't have to mess with your phone. The alphabet boys don't need to mess with your computer. The demonic forces that they work under will. And because the devil, Lucifer, is called many names, but one of his things is the prince of the power of the air. And all of our media is transferred by way of the air, via airwaves. And our little machines that we love so much, your little personal robot called your Android, your little C3PO thing, I have an Android, your all-seeing iPhone, your television, which they made you switch from the big booty TVs we used to have to the flat screens now, to digital, first of all, and I dealt with digital a little bit in the music series, but they made all of these things switch over so that that power of the air could be more effective in possessing you, in creating duality within your mind. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, James 1 and 8. And that is how possession takes place. The enemy cannot just bogart you and bum rush your soul and take it. That would make this a very unfair game. We serve a just, true, and living God. So therefore, there's rules and regulations to this. He has to first create within you the mind to open up and let him in. You see the allegory of a vampire not being able to come across the threshold of a doorway until you invite him in? That is an allegorical tale, a metaphor for the way the enemy does his thing, the way he acts and reacts. those few guys I named too, you want to check them out, because brothers and sisters don't, a lot of brothers and sisters may not know about them. We tend to stick to our kind, and they stick to their kind, and the devil works the black and white chessboard, which is why that's such a big Masonic symbol, because it is a black and white game being played that they want to culminate into a race war. And that's what the Trayvon stuff was all about. That's what Obeezy's false flag, relating him to King, Kennedy, and Lincoln. And I don't want to say it, because, see, they're going to try to tell lies on different ones of us. But it's a false flag concerning those things that I've been talking about just in my ciphers with brothers in the living for some time. But again, we want to be aware of all of these things to come, and we know we need each other. Black need white, and white need black, if at all possible. Don't let yourself be put in that trick bag. Don't let yourself be stuck in that box of, you only kick it with your kind, I only kick it with my kind, or whatever. We're in a new time. There's reform. That means to form anew, and a new thing needs to be done. If what you're doing ain't been working, you need to change it. Maybe something different will result. So that's what myself and others like me. I've seen a lot of young folks, and I'm middle-aged. I'm 40. As of May 16th of 2013, I turned 40. But there's a lot of young brothers and sisters, my nieces and nephews, who are going so hard for God and anti-Lucifer. And I just want to encourage you guys to look around, stretch your mind out, and find others that do this type of thing too. I'm not the only one. You might like the way I do it, and if you do that to my human part, that's flattering to me. But to my divine part, don't get stuck where you don't still stretch your mind out and see what else God has given to others out there as well. So you want to check out those individuals who I named there. And also, because they're dope, they underground, and they put in work. But also, the aliens are from hell. Whoever put that together, because it's been copied and reposted so many times, I'm not sure who the originator is, but excellent job. I love that really helped me and some of my brothers overstand the relationship of the alien deception to the fallen angel deception, the original deception of Lucifer, and put it all together, a big picture. A big shout out too to some supporters, Sister Brianna, Sister Leah, Brother Brett, Brother D'Angelo, Big Joe Johnson, Brother Benny Blanco from up north, way up north, my main man, 50 grand again and again and again, and also Brother Christopher, I believe. You asked some good questions, and I can tell that you've been exposed to some of the same knowledge I have. Don't ever believe that the system or science that you're studying is free from any guile. As long as man was involved in it, and I'm talking about the things that's been compiled previously in books. Now you will have a chance to hear things in this day and time by the will of the Creator that are untainted. And you'll only have a chance, too, because as soon as the prince of the power of the air realizes that something untainted is going through the airwaves, he'll do something. He'll do something. And that's all right, because no weapon formed against us shall prosper. We can do all things through Christ that strengthens us. We are the head and not the tail. We shall be blessed going in and coming out. And I speak life over you, that you shall live and not die. And none of the works of the enemy, none of his witty inventions will prosper over you. And yes, trample on snakes. That's another good crew. I like trample on snakes. They got good stuff too. But yeah, and be of a merry heart. Some of y'all folks, man, look like you've been baptized with vinegar instead of holy water. Your face is balled up and you're so sad. Listen, I know I'm going to die for this, and I can still enjoy myself and enjoy doing this, enjoy doing God's work, and do it with a grin, because I don't want to die from eating too many hamburgers. I don't want to die from smoking squares, or I don't want to die on top of the baddest female. I don't want to die any other way. But because I've served the Most High Creator to the point that Lucifer has gotten that angry that he wants to take my physical. And if the Most High allows that to happen, because he has to allow it, look at the book of Job. The devil can test you only to a certain level, and the test is for your testimony. to be able to bring it back to other believers so they will know, yes, you can stand a test like I stood. See, I did it, you can too. I'm nothing special. But if the devil does test you to the point where you receive that glorious death, there is but one glorious death, gangster. It's not dying for your streets named after a man that wouldn't have spit on you. It's not dying for your set of color like a child. It's not dying for your dope gang dying over a sack. It's not dying for any other reason but because the enemy wants you out of here, and because you did such a job, such a hell of a job on this planet that you can hear the words of the Father, quote unquote, say to you, good work, well done, my servant. And you don't want him to catch you with your work undone, like my minister, Apostle Sharon, has said and imparted to me so many times, and I felt that to my core. You have a work to do before you can leave here, but when you get that work to a certain level, you filled your purpose. And trust me, I don't want for my purpose to be fulfilled so quickly or whatever, but I'm at peace. I'm at total peace. And I know they say, well, Lord can give you the desires of your heart. That's what I desire. I desire not to die from diabetes or high blood pressure. Do you feel me? Somebody feels me, because the Messiah truly said that some of us would be hated for his name's sake. And he said that there is no greater gift that a man can give than to lay down his life for his friends. And I count you all as friends. If you're watching this, and if you've watched it this long, I know you're friends, because he makes birds of a feather two flock together, and they flock together because they all going in the same direction. You might catch a couple birds that's not of that kind up there. So don't feel some type of way because you're black or you're white or you're mixed. We're all mixed, truth be told. But I represent for a community that has some lack of knowledge, and so I would be remiss and less than a man if I didn't address that community. And so I do address that community unashamedly. And I ask, that you all step up where you see the need is at. That's what the great physician did when the Pharisees and Sadducees always talking down on him, jiving and signifying with him. And, well, why you sitting around them? They drinking wine and they smoking blunts, whatever. Blah, blah, blah. He said, a physician comes to heal the sick. Now, don't you drink the wine and get drunk. Drinking wine and getting drunk is two different things. And don't you smoke the blunts, because if it's government weed, it's not very wise of you to take a spirit-enhancing drug, quote-unquote, a divining herb like marijuana coming from a satanic Luciferian government who I'm sure have put the extra triple dipple whip on it. And so you don't want that inside of you, period. You don't want to eat it, period. You should not inhale smoke into your lungs. It's bad for the lungs. The first thing that God did was he breathed breath into the body. So if you're really interested in the powers of these ancient herbs or whatever, eat them and put them in your food. But make sure that you grow them yourself. But now if you want to get high and get blowed, then be for real with yourself. Don't play with yourself. Be for real then. If that's what you desire, then you're trying to escape. And you can't get out of this army once you've been drafted. Don't escape. Don't run. Let that be for the elders whose time it is to sit down. Yeah, I said it. Let them have it. Let it be for the poor and downtrodden who have no place in the race. But if you're in this fight, we need you clear-headed, soldier. So I want to give a big shout out to Double B for that one right there. That's for you. But again, and that's not to put nobody on blast, we're going to pick back up where we left off. Please believe it. Don't doubt it at all, because we got to be about it or be without it. And we are going to pick back up on the males, the alpha male programming, the mind control alpha male programming, and we're going to really get off into it because I got some special things I want to say to my nephews who were losing at an alarming rate much faster than the nieces. I'm also believing now in the spirit that the Lord is showing me that we're going to have more warrior sisters than I ever thought, of all races, nations, and places. because of the fact that the man has been under attack. Rule of warfare, kill the men, take over the women. So the women are by and large being left here, and the devil counts on his mind control as being sufficient enough to vanquish you guys.